Вам це не потрібно, так? When you're calling the speaker, you could put it on. Yeah. Шановні колеги, ми розпочинаємо роботу.
Dear colleagues, we start our working day at Ukraine Crisis Media Center, and the topic of the first press briefing, announcement of the results of the social project School of Volunteers. Our guests are Matthes, head of the project support of local communities in Ukraine due to the increased number of internally displaced persons, and also Mariya Tyshchenko, executive director of Ukrainian public organization Poruch. First, Matthes is given the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to welcome you on behalf of GIZ to this press conference. Please allow me to say a few words about GIZ as a company and our projects before I later hand over to Ms. Tyshchenko to give you information about the results of this important project. GIZ is a federal company owned by the federal government of Germany, and we are implementing in Ukraine already for more than 20 years several projects. As a reaction of the crisis in eastern Ukraine in the end of 2015, the federal government decided to establish the initiatives of the infrastructure program for Ukraine, which are implemented by GIZ and financed by the Federal Ministry of Economic Development and Cooperation, in order to support Ukraine in overcoming the negative results of the military conflict in eastern Ukraine. Within this framework, we are supporting hosting communities and IDPs mainly in the oblast Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhia. The initiatives of the infrastructure program contain of 4 projects. One of them is supporting the Ukrainian State Emergency Service, 2 projects supporting hosting communities and the social infrastructure of those communities. And the 4th project is dealing with psychosocial support for IDPs and conflict transformation projects in hosting communities. For us, it is always important that the entire community is profiting from our activities. That means that we are trying to implement always in an inclusive and integrative way. Furthermore, we are always trying to encourage our partners, whether they are from non-governmental institutions or governmental institutions, to work together and in particular together with the people to improve municipal services for the sake of the people. As I mentioned in the beginning today, we are here to have a look at the results of a project which is called School of Volunteers, and that was implemented through the NGO Poruch in the Oblast Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, and the government-controlled areas of Donetsk and Lugansk. The engagement of volunteers is worldwide and across borders, uniting people who are willing to improve societies, who are willing to make political systems more democratic, and in the end of the day, to improve the living conditions of people. At the same time, it's always an opportunity for the volunteers to connect with others, to build up networks, to gain knowledge, to share knowledge, and to gain living experience. We think that the negative results of the military crisis in eastern Ukraine can be only overcome through cooperation between governmental and non-governmental institutions, and in particular such initiatives of people and the involvement of volunteers is contributing in a tremendous way to overcome all those issues. For this reason, we were choosing this project and supporting this project, and I'm very glad that through our support, I think it's more about 200 people could participate in those activities across all ages and from all kinds of professions. And now I would like to hand over to Ms. Tyshchenko to give you more detailed information about this project. Thank you.
Добрий ранок, шановні колеги.
Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm going to tell us about Volunteer School. This is a project directed to popularize volunteer movement. The participants of the school were able to get knowledge about retrospective analysis of the volunteer movement in the world, including Ukraine. Our aim was to help IDPs and also to integrate into communities, and our volunteer initiatives have continuation. These were 3-day training, more than 40 hours. Our experts trained volunteers. Why we needed this? Because as of today, let's say there is no theoretical and practical basis of training to provide volunteers with competences. That's why the idea of the school appeared. And GIZ company as a partner helped us in the realization of this project in Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Kramatorsk, and Severodonetsk. Our project covered about 200 people. And now we have good results of our project because we realized many local initiatives, including energy of generations in Dnipro. People were brought to the round table. Elderly people, young people were brought together. Also, disabled children in Kramatorsk were supported, and also we had the project of presenting the books, and we had volunteers who brought thousands of books to Lugansk and Donetsk oblasts. And on the basis of Donbass Institute of Industry of Youth Center, together with Federation of Debates in Ukraine, we delivered training about debates, and also St. Nicholas Craft House. So we also police officers joined us in our activities, and the methodology of our work is included in the manual that has such interesting aspects of legal aspects of volunteer activities in Ukraine, and the project management is included, the competence that is needed to volunteers, also first medical aid, and also we deliver medical training to train specialists, and we had training using cases, we played games, and also we did some exercises. All these activities were emotional. You can see it on our posters. The age of our participants starting as 14 to 65 years of age. And at Dnipro, we used intergenerational integration, and we had elderly people, and one of them was 70 years of age, so we trained such a volunteer. I would like to thank, first of all, of course, federal company GIZ for the financial support and organizational support of this project, and also there were other who contributed. These were deputies, councils, public activists of the region that provided us with opportunity to establish a link between the power and people, and this is one of the results of our project. And also in many cities that we had training, educational institutions joined. That's why these are people of different professions, different people of different age. Thank you for your attention, and remember that volunteers are always near you. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. I have several questions to you. You said about 5 cities you visited. What were the criteria? How did you choose these cities?
I mean, I can start answering that question, but maybe you can add some. The criteria for us always is when we choose target regions to have a look how many IDPs are in those hosting communities, because usually the needs are the highest in those communities where you have a big number of IDPs.
Я додам трошки.
I'll add, in our volunteer school, there were 32 participants. They are IDPs. At our website, you can see such digital storytelling. They are stories of our graduates who are IDPs, but they are so active that they have been implementing very interesting projects in their cities. 20 volunteers have organized a flash mob action at the railway station in support of ATO soldiers, and where they singing Shidrivki songs. Thank you, colleagues. You also mentioned a guide as a final deliverable of your trainings in these 5 cities. Do you have only printed copies, also electronic copies in the internet which are downloadable? Thank you for your questions. And the experts of Poruch and GO drafted this guide. The methodology of this guide includes so well-grounded experience of our experts and very many methodological activities which could be used by our graduates, because our graduates continue our school, and this is our basis to continue the volunteer school. This volunteer school will live further, will outlive this project, and of course it is available in electronic format at our website. I have a question about your next steps in Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, and other regions adjacent to ATO area. There are many IDPs there, and will you continue the project in other cities as well? Thank you for your question. This project became possible thanks to the support of GIZ. So at this level, at top level, we conducted all the actions, all the events we have planned. Of course, volunteer schools continue its existence. This is the condition of our project. We will continue working, and we will distribute our experience, and you will see at our site when when the next school meeting or trainings will take place.
The project was also that the participants of the project are now, let's say, acting as multiplicators and transfer their knowledge to other volunteers. However, we as GIZ are constantly, let's say, receiving project proposals, and we are assessing them and evaluating whether they are contributing to our goals, improving municipal services, in particular in our target regions.
Я ще додам, що
Yeah, I would like to add that the volunteer school started its activities 5 years ago. We covered Kharkovka in the south of Ukraine and other cities in the south of Ukraine, but so large scale and so well supported activities allowed us to expand and to engage many people. Not only IDPs were participants of the school. One of the goals was an inclusive approach, dissemination of it. For example, disabled persons were involved. Thank you, dear colleagues. I have no questions more, but maybe some other questions from the audience. We don't have questions. We wish you all the best in future with your project. Thank you.